Hi, I'm Dionne. Welcome to my studio. Today we are going to be printing in the style of Matisse. Now you'll see behind me here I have a huge print of Matisse that I actually have right next to my studio in my house because I really just enjoy the simple forms. It gives me ideas. So I thought I'd put that up behind me so that you can see where I get some of my inspirations from as well. And that's what art's all about, is sharing ideas. So we're going to be doing just that today. We're going to be taking some great things from Matisse and using it to inspire our own artwork. So we are going to be starting off by looking at some images from Matisse. So I have a huge one behind me here, which is, I think it's called Blue Nude 3 or something like that. So he did a series of big images of the female form and just really celebrated all the lovely curves but used really simplified colour. So we're going to be doing a similar thing within our work today. So I'm going to get you to have a look at the images of Matisse. So I've selected 3 for you to have a look at, but there'll be lots of other images of Matisse that you can have a look at in the classroom or have a little research online, because there's so many things that he made and did. But I've picked these 3 because I would like you to have a good look at them and take the shapes that you find particularly interesting from them. So, and then I'm going to get you to draw them onto your foam sheets. So I've done just that. I've done a version of the figure that I can see on here because I really enjoy in that. And then I really like the kind of the natural form shape that I can see in this one here. But there are so many different shapes. So have a really good look and then take from that what you like. And then what I'm going to get you to do is prepare the surface that you're going to print onto. So you've got your black paper. I'm going to get you to rip up some sugar paper, and then you're going to stick it on to prepare your surface so that you're not just printing onto a plain background. You're going to have a little bit of colour, because just like Matisse, we're going to embrace that kind of clash of colours and how he layered up colours in a really, really bold and simplified way. So I'm just going to pop that onto my piece of paper. So I've just glued that on. I've ripped it and glued it. You might like to do 2 colours. It's up to you. I've just started off with 1. The great thing about printing is that you can make multiple versions. So quite often the first thing you do, you think, actually, I'll do this differently next time. And you change it slightly and then do something just slightly different next time. So that is the great thing, is that it's not just one drawing. It creates a template for you to use multiple times. So I'll show you what I mean. So I'm going to get you to, once you've drawn out one of your shapes, I'd then like you to just explore with the different ways you can indent the foam. So basically what you create an indented shape of will then be what appears as a negative line when you go to print. So again, you'll see what I mean as you start to do it. You'll get a feel for it. Because printing's, it's quite strange. It's kind of the reverse of what you draw. So you sort of have to think of it back to front, which is a bit weird. But I'd like you to keep experimenting. So I'm just using my pencil here to create the indent. But I'd like you to have a little experiment with different ways of making indentations. So you can do, you can use pencil to do that. I'm also going to ask that if you do have things like clay tools, you can use those, and things like just any like cutlery, anything basically that's a bit pointy or a bit sharp will make a lovely mark. So yeah, I've got some clay tools here in my studio, so I'm going to use some of these just to mirror some of the nice shapes that again I can see. So I'm just doing lots of shapes there. So I'm going to get you to do the same as another clay tool, and this just has a bit of a wider shape that I'm going to press in there. So it gives you sort of blocky shapes. So do have a good play with all the different marks you can make and the different tools that you have in front of you. And you'll find that you'll get a bit of a feel for what works once you start actually doing your first kind of print runs. So I'm just going to show you with this one to start with. So once I've got my, you can see it's indented there over the line, then I've added some of these patterns over the top, all inspired by the shapes that I can see in these images. And then what I've done is I've given a nice big dollop of ink onto my tray. Now with printing ink you have to even it out, so you have to make sure that you've got, because otherwise your image would come out so some bits show up and some bits don't, so you have to get the ink even to start with. So I'm just rolling back and forth, up and down, so that it's nice and even. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll that onto my plate that I've created. So you keep rolling. I think I actually need to put a bit more ink out, so I'm going to pop a bit more out. But it's good not to put huge big blobs on as you're doing it. It's good to do it in layers, really take time with it, and really sort of respect how it needs to be used, because it's quite a kind of unique material, so you have to keep really thinking about how you're using the medium of ink. So I'm going to keep layering. You can see that's a bit thicker now. So once I've got all the ink on my plate, I am then going to pop it onto my picture. So you need to do this on a flat surface, so it's a bit tricky to show you on my easel, but I'm going to take my paper and I'm going to pop my plate onto the top of it, and then I'm going to roll over the top so that you're applying the same pressure over the top. So I'm going to do that just here so that you can see the result, but you can't necessarily see me doing it. So I'd like you to pop it anywhere on the surface, because actually you're going to be layering these up. So I've put mine here because I'd quite like to layer the other shape around it. So I'm just rollering back over. You can see the red on my roller because I didn't give it a clean, but you might have an empty roller as well as the roller that you have to use. So once you've applied that pressure really evenly across, then you can remove and you'll see your print that you've drawn out. Now I'm going to then get you to do the same thing to your next plate, and you're going to slowly layer them all the way over your lovely piece of paper so that you've got multiple layers. I'd also like you to change the colour of your ink as well. So for the next one you might like to use a yellow or a blue ink, so that this isn't just one print, it's multiple prints on top. And you might like to change the sort of orientation of it, so you might like to change the position, how it goes around, but I'd like you to really experiment with the potential of how you can layer up this lovely image.